Joe Sambo, what's up? How you doing?
What's going on, man?
I know we were talking a little off air, but you did move a little bit. So how's the COVID situation been for you?
COVID at first, I was quarantined in New Hampshire, where I'm from, and it was really hard. And during the summer, there was a lot of gigs going on, so I could play locally. It kind of screwed up the summer for touring and stuff like that. But luckily, in New Hampshire, the COVID numbers were pretty low throughout the summer. Everything was socially distanced, but I was able to play every weekend at Hampton Beach in Hampton, New Hampshire. And as things got colder, things started getting a little iffy back home, and I have good connections down in Key West, so I have officially moved down to Key West and hanging out here. Also doing socially distanced shows behind plexiglass and stuff, but I've been
Okay.
able to keep myself busy at least throughout COVID.
Well, I'm not too far from you. I think Key West is maybe like a 2-hour trip for me. I would love to try to catch a gig or two.
Dude, come
from
on down, man. The water's clear.
So what venues have you been performing at in Key West?
So primarily in Key West, there's a lot of clubs all over the place. So I've been kind of bouncing around, but primarily I'm at a spot called Hank's Saloon. It's a
Okay.
really cool outdoor venue. Some of the best entertainers on the island play there. I'm there like 4 nights a week. And there's another place, General Horseplay, that really cool stage inside. It's actually technically outside, but the way it made this really cool. It's almost like I'd say, what are those like saloon like clubs, those private
Yeah.
saloon clubs or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really cool environment. But those 2 spots in general have been where I've been playing. But there's places all over the place down here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been to the Keys a couple of times. I'm actually trying to go down. It's my birthday in like a week or two, so I'm actually planning a trip down to
Oh,
Keys.
you have to come down, man. You
Oh yeah.
have to.
Yeah. I'll
You got a
definitely.
place to crash, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. I guess before you came down to the Keys, you actually did a drive-in show with the Dirty Heads. So how did that show
Yeah,
go?
that show went incredible. Honestly, the Dirty Heads, like besides like Sublime and stuff, the Dirty Heads are like one of those bands that like got me into this genre of music, reggae, rock, hip hop.
Oh yeah.
And so that show specifically was like a pinch me kind of moment, being able to do that in my home state and have all my friends and family come out. And it was actually the drive-in environment. Like, obviously, I would love it to be a normal show, but it being a drive-in, my friends who put that all together, my buddy Mike puts those events together, and really, it was the way it was organized and how it was set up on like a big hill, and it was like playing in front of a fucking stadium. It was cool. Can I swear? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay, fuck. Sorry, I'm a goofball.
Uh,
That show was incredible. It's like, so I played solo. Normally I would have my band for something like that.
mhm.
But I had performed it solo, so that was probably the most people I played in front of solo.
Oh
It was
wow.
really nerve-wracking having like 2,000 eyes on me with these 2 giant projector screens, and I'm like, oh, don't fuck up, don't fuck up.
Did you get a chance to hang out with the band at all?
Yeah, a little bit. And so Dave Forrell, their bass player, he's actually producing 2 of my new tracks that'll be on my album coming out 2021. So it was cool to catch up with Dave. I haven't seen him since we started working on the tunes. And yeah, it was cool to be able to just hang out with them and reminisce about how I got kicked out of their shows back in the day. And it was fun.
And I heard that you've been outside of music. You've actually started doing maybe voiceover work a little bit this year. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
It's a dream of mine, put it that way. I've done some voiceover work for commercials, like local commercials back home in New England, for like car commercials. But mostly I'm singing. I sing the jingles and stuff. But
Okay.
once in a while, they'll need my voice or something. But my dream is to do like voice cartoons. That's what I
Voiceover.
would love to do.
Like what kind of cartoons?
Oh, something raunchy and hilarious and something that parents wouldn't want their kids to watch.
Got
Like
the-
Ren and Stimpy or something.
I was thinking just the same thing, man. That's the exact show I was thinking.
There's actually a funny story about Ren and Stimpy. I wasn't allowed to watch that show when I was a kid, which is why I loved that show. And my dad would never let me watch it when I was young. And he said it was disgusting. And he doesn't smoke weed or anything at this time. And he said one time, me and my brothers, my mom were gone, and my dad decided to smoke weed for the first time in a long time. And he put on Ren and Stimpy and laughed his ass off. He told me this later on in life, and I'm like, how come you wouldn't let me watch it?
Well, I would
really
say
funny.
that and Rocco's Modern Life were two like cartoons that really would.
Oh, classics.
Oh yeah.
Classics.
Oh yeah. Well, and we talked a little bit about you being down in Key West. So, what are you down Key West permanently or just temporarily from New Hampshire?
It seems that way. It seems that way, man. I'm kind of sick of the cold. I miss home a lot. I miss my family and all my friends and fanboys up there. But it was time for a change, and this was supposed to be like just at least for the winter. But after I've settled in, it's like I think I could easily call this island home for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's easy just to like get stuck in there. When last time I was there for a couple of days, and I was like, honestly, I did not want to leave.
It's not Florida, man.
Oh yeah.
It's island life through and through.
Yeah.
I love it, and it's a small island, so it's been cool to meet everybody on here and like be accepted. And I kind of feel like I'm a conch these days.
And something interesting I saw is that you are actually on Man vs. Food in Key West. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was just on a whim. We just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
So how'd you get on that show?
Well, we just went for lunch to this place, Bad Boy Burrito in town. Really good burritos. But they were filming Man vs. Food there when we walked in.
Oh man.
And I don't know I think his name's Casey, the new host of Man vs. Food, and he picked me and he's actually my video producer Tyler, and he picked us like out of a group. Hey, you want to be on TV? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. It was pretty funny and spur of the moment, and I just wanted a burrito, but I ended up getting a free burrito and being on the Food Network.
Oh man, awesome. So, are you a big foodie? Because I mean, I am, and I would love to find like new places to eat in Key West.
I wouldn't say I'm a foodie. I haven't like claimed myself as a foodie, but I love food, and there's a lot of good food down here for sure.
Are there any places you can recommend to me?
Oh, dude, it depends what you're looking for, but I'd say go to Drunk Munchies, Mr. Z's. They got the best cheesesteak there is. Oh, it's really good. They got a buffalo chicken cheesesteak too. Dude,
oh man,
dude, it's unbelievable. But that's like drunk food. There's a lot of like really fancy bistros and nice food down here too. Schooners is a must. It's right on the wharf. Really fun spot.
I mean, I like a variety of things, but the most thing I'm always craving for is a burger. Like I'm always looking for a good burger.
Yeah. A solid burger down here. Honestly, I haven't eaten a lot of burgers down here.
Oh man.
I usually end up getting like tacos or something like that. Or like Mr. Z's.
I would think like a lot of seafood would be more popular. Like I've seen like a lot.
Oh, there's a bunch.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been eating a lot of mahi down here.
Oh yeah. That's got to be the thing over there. Mahi
it's my
sandwiches.
Favorite fish.
Oh yeah. All right. So big and juicy. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about your album that came out. I caught that album as soon as it hit #1 in the reggae charts, and I'm curious because I know you were doing some touring right before that album released. So, what did you do before you released that album for it to really hit #1 in the reggae charts?
So, before I released the album, I released a couple singles. One of them being "The Wrong Impression," it's the title track, and my first one was "How We Do." I filmed a video with my production team, Revelry Studios, in New Hampshire. The theme was like being in the winter time and still wanting to play happy reggae music and pretending it's summer, you know. But that video seemed to catch on pretty quick when I released that one. And then when I announced my record coming out, it seemed pretty highly anticipated, at least in the New England region and other places I performed. But I don't know. It definitely hitting number one was a surprise to me when that happened, but a good surprise.
So how long was it number one in the reggae charts?
Just about a week.
That's
Yeah.
good enough,
Didn't
man.
stay there too long, but it was long enough for me to take a screenshot and go, yes.
Hey, there's always a lot of competition over those iTunes reggae charts. It's always like number one album, Bob Marley's, I think it's the Legend album or
Yeah.
compilation. So the fact that you can,
Bob Marley's been on top for friggin' 30 plus years.
oh man, and I mean the album's awesome, man. So, and you mentioned that upcoming album next year. So, can you share a little bit about that?
So yeah, I've basically that was another thing I was doing. I forgot to mention during COVID was tracking my next record, and I had this arsenal of songs. I narrowed it down to about 14, and yeah, I just started tracking at Revelry Studios back in Manchester, New Hampshire. Got a great team of musicians to really capture what I wanted and had in my head, and I pretty much, listening to the mixes now, it's like it's come to life. So I'm pumped. It's a lot more personable, a lot more, I'd say, um, mature than my first record. Um, and I feel like people will be able to relate to it, especially after this crazy year.
Mm.
Um, but I'm very excited to release it. I don't really have any date on releasing it. I'm still trying to figure out if I'll be releasing it independently or on a label, or it's really hard to know exactly what I'm going to be able to do, because I mean, I've got to put out a record. I want to start touring, but at the moment I can't. So um, I guess it's all strategy at this point. I'm trying to figure out what the next move is, but there will definitely be new music out in 2021. If not the album, at least a few singles and music videos and stuff I hope to be able to put out.
And it seems like you know a lot about touring because I've heard that you've actually started touring, I think, around the age of 16. So, so how did that help you prepare for
I
touring
mean,
on your own?
back then I was in an old, like, heavy hardcore metal band called Spies Like Us, and I mean, it was touring, but like it was just a bunch of jabronis going on the road being like, we're on tour, and like playing at a VFW somewhere, you know. But I mean, I did get the experience of road life at a young age, and I'm glad I got to experience it at a young age, just because it's not necessarily the most fun place there is. There's a lot of nights in Walmart parking lots and sleeping in a smelly hot van, and it gave me a taste of it at a young age, and at least now in my life, I'll be able to, like, once I'll be able to hit the road again, do it the right way, and take those early lessons and put them to use.
What's the best lesson you learned while touring so early?
um, get a Kroger card because you can get 10 cans of beefaroni for $10. That
Oh man.
was a lesson.
Oh yeah. I bet a lot of people that new musicians would definitely take advantage of that. That's some good advice.
Yeah. Spend the $10 on beefaroni and have the extra $10 to put in the gas tank.
So I heard that I guess while you were touring with your metal band, that's kind of fell in love with reggae while touring with your band. So how did you come across reggae music, and then just how did you fall in love with it while just performing while in a metal band?
Well, I was raised on a lot of different types of music. My whole family's musicians, and my dad would always play like funk or soul R&B or metal, whatever it be, like Black Sabbath. I like listened to it all. And I don't know, metal kind of stuck out in my angsty stage of my life, my like teenage years, and I just started playing metal and kind of came like naturally to uh, gravitate towards those angsty kids in Manchester, New Hampshire, and start playing metal shows at VFWs and having fun, like energy release. All that was attractive. But how reggae came about, I'd say, was I just really got on a Sublime kick when I was about 17 or 18. I started working at a record store, and I started listening to like everything Sublime all the time. I started
Oh
smoking
yeah.
weed a lot, and like Brad Knoll became God, and that's how I really got into it. And it wasn't until later on where I got more into like roots reggae, bands like Steel Pulse and Toots and the Maytals, stuff like that. But Sublime is really what kind of got me sucked into the whole reggae rock world, and started like chilling out a little bit because like I could relate to Bradley because he grew up in the Long Beach like hardcore scene
Hmm.
or like punk scene, and he kind of meshed all his influences in there. And me growing up in the hardcore scene in Manchester, even though it's a lot colder than Long Beach, but
Yeah.
like I could relate to that, his influences in that way. I think that's why I kind of stuck out. But I mean, that's what brought it all together. Sublime. Usually, that's someone's answer. I think too.
And one thing I really thought it's such a big movement that I don't hear too much people mention it is just the influences that Sublime has brought in. I mean, just a diverse range of people,
Hmm.
just everyone of different
Yeah,
backgrounds, genders, ethnicities, especially, just have been brought together just based on their music.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's the true nature of a melting pot living in the U.S.
Oh yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And you got a chance to, early in your career, you got a chance to perform with some big names already. We were talking about the Dirty Heads. One person that I'm really interested to know about actually played with Collie Buddz. So how was
Yeah,
like working with that guy?
dude, that was fun. That was a fun night. That was the only time I played with him, but it was in Boston, and it was a booze cruise, like a big ass boat. I think it was called the Provincetown 2 like boat shuttle, and they packed in all these people pre-COVID, packed it all in, and it was a party, man. That was like one of my favorite shows that summer. Collie was the man, nicest dude ever. His team was really cool. His band was top notch. Like it was sick. It was a sick show, man. But it was really cool being on a boat and like the boat was rocking while we're playing, and I'm like, it was fun. It was really fun.
So are there other artists out there that you would like to collaborate with
That I'd like to collab with. Mm,
or tour with?
me, I would love to tour Collie Buds. Honestly, I want to tour like my homies. My homies, the Elevators. They're like literally the people that are closest to me. I always put on this pedestal of
Okay.
like, wow, it's achievable, you know.
Hmm.
And the Elevators, they're like my best buds, and seeing what they've been able to do the last couple of years, it would be just fun to tour with my homies. Like that's what I would like. That'd be really fun. But I don't know. Like I guess you haven't really heard my new stuff, and my new stuff isn't necessarily straight reggae. There's a lot of different influences, and one being soul R&B. So
Hmm.
like I got this fascination with sometimes like mixing it up with a band like Soul Live or Lettuce or like something funky. I would love to collab on some funk, dude. That's my shit right there.
And I heard that you're actually really into podcasting, so much so that I think I saw that you actually had a podcast a while back. So what got you into
You did your
podcasting?
research. Um, Honestly, just listening to podcasts. I feel like anyone who can get into the whole podcast world, you're like, I want to start a podcast. So me and my old roommate Vinny, we started a podcast called the uh, Joe and Vinny podcast. Like that's it, and it was literally us just getting stoned and being stupid and making fun of our other roommate Dante because it was just fun. It was silly, but I don't know, I think my podcasting days are over. Besides getting interviewed on them, like now, but like hosting one, I don't know. Vinny would have been a perfect host. I don't know. I hate hearing myself. I'm gonna even watch this and cringe, being like, shit.
So what podcast are you really into?
Um, Honestly, right now, actually, I was mentioning Soul Live. Krasno from So Live. He has an awesome podcast called Plus One Podcast.
Hmm.
Um, he's interviewed people from John Mayer to like Alan Stone, the dudes from Wolfpack. Just recently, there was one Bella Fleck. He's a world famous banjo player, and it's just really cool because I've always been into like everyone like listens to Rogan and all these like weird, crazy, introspective thinking ones, and I went through that phase, but now it's like it's cool to hear a music podcast that isn't like just music playing, but musicians just talking about either the business or like their creative flow and how they work in the studio. And right now, Plus One with Krasno is like my favorite podcast for sure.
I'll have to check it out. I'm always going through different podcasts, especially when I do research. I'm always going through a variety of podcasts, and every once in a while, I'll come across like just a new podcast that I'm like, wow, this, and it's, not a podcast that's like in the top 100 in the podcast charts, and it's actually a really
Yeah,
good podcast.
yeah, for sure. It's refreshing because everyone can jump on that Rogan train
Oh yeah,
or like the what's it Radio Lab and stuff like that, which are great podcasts. I
yeah,
still listen to Rogan, but like you were saying, like it's cool to discover something a little underground and be like, huh,
yeah.
like like find like something that itches your niche. You
Oh
know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's what I feel like I found with this new One Plus One podcast for sure.
Those Joe Rogan podcasts are really long too. Like I'm
Yeah,
going through like every episode's like 2, 3 out, sometimes 4 hours. I'm like, how can
yeah.
you hold a conversation for four straight?
It's long. It's long. And I would listen to them all the way, like when I would landscape at home before I was touring and stuff. Um, I'd be on the lawnmower and just have my headphones in, and I'd listen to like 3 of them while I'm working.
Oh yeah. And the guy pops out like 3 episodes a week, like Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, I can see why he's number one and like always in the podcast charts, but I don't know how someone can make that time to, 2
Yeah,
hours.
it's crazy.
Man. And another podcast I actually heard that you're really into is the Aubrey Marcus podcast, and it's actually
Yeah.
helped you in a lot of ways. Do you mind explaining how that's helped you?
So I actually discovered Aubrey Marcus through the Rogan podcast, like most probably have. But that one is one of those very introspective thinking ones and like personal. And like people who know Aubrey Marcus like bring up like, oh, he's like, you only like him because he's a hallucinogenic advocate and he's like into doing LSD and DMT. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, like it's honestly less about that. It's more of like trying to learn about yourself and
Oh yeah.
understanding who you are and your thought process and how people perceive you and how you perceive yourself and all that in introspective thinking. I think it's good for everybody. And like I was saying before, like sometimes I just want to listen to the Bill Burr podcast and hear just funny shit. But when you like everyone, I feel like could get something out of listening to that podcast. His guests specifically are really interesting, and then
Yeah.
like make you think a little bit.
I've recently just started getting into the Aubrey Marcus podcast. I'll say that's one show that I'll say that has interesting guests. I mean, let
Yeah, for
alone the
sure.
conversation, but he has like some really interesting guests on there.
Yeah, he does.
And I mean, I saw a posting like that you posted of, I guess, him talking about like just loving yourself too. Like you can't really expect people to love you if you don't, fill yourself with
Yeah,
love. I thought that was like a
yeah,
really strong words, and that's the first time I've heard something
absolutely.
like that.
And well, that's the thing, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to that this year. It's like spent being quarantined for half the year, and it's like you kind of have to kind of look inward and
Yeah.
understand more about yourself, and you have to love yourself first before you can love anything or anyone else. And it's important. It's important for sure, and that's why I shared that. Because I don't know. I don't know if I'm crazy thinking that way, but I think everyone should love themselves for sure.
That's one of those things, and I was just pondering it too until I actually saw that video. It's one of those things like you think about, but when you hear someone else kind of say it, just like, okay, this confirms it that what you were
Yeah,
thinking is real.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Because yeah, like if you just think of it yourself, you may not think of it as like, well, it's like whatever, you know.
yeah,
But if you hear someone else say it, and you're like, yeah, okay, for
yeah.
sure.
I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I'm not crazy.
It's okay to love yourself.
Yeah.
And with your a lot of success in your career, I've heard you give a lot of props to your team. So, how has your team really helped your career in music?
So I have an awesome band, and an awesome group of guys doing all my production work and video work. Revelry Studios, they're located in Manchester, New Hampshire. Um, they've been kicking it for like 3 years now. Some of their first work was with me, and we've just been able. We were just all very like-minded, motivated cats in Manchester, New Hampshire, middle of nowhere, and um, we just we vibed instantly and started creating content that we all were proud of. All brought something to the table. I call it a brain tornado. We met and so many ideas were just thrown out, and we're like, yes, yes, like constant. And being in that like motivated environment, um, it's awesome. I can't like, I mean, I got some talent. I can sing, but without my team, like the album that I got, first of all, without my team, the video that I got, like it wouldn't exist without any of them. So I make sure to give them as much props as possible. And my band, my guitar player Quincy, Dave Petty, my drummer Marky King plays bass. Like I got the greatest, most talented people on my side, and it makes me really happy. That's why I give them props all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
I'm
definitely
a
do.
lucky duck.
Yeah, and you're a very humble guy too, man. Because I mean, I've heard you mention before you give a lot of props to your team. So yeah, that's you can't forget about the people that really help you in your career.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Joe, we're at a recurring segment in this podcast called Self Reflections. So this question is, what's the best thing you learned about yourself during this past year?
Best thing I learned about myself is that it's possible. You can do it. It's possible. Like whatever the it is, it's possible. It's you just gotta put in the work and care about yourself enough to make it happen. I didn't think I'd be living in Key West this year. You know, now I'm living in a beautiful place, playing music in
Oh
front
yeah,
of people, even though it's behind plexiglass. But I get to do some sort of performance that can give me my nut and make other people happy. And I'm a lucky guy. And I guess the self reflection is like, if you want to do it, just do it, whatever it is.
do it.
Always,
Love it.
yeah.
Do it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go
less
down to Key
less
West.
even Stevens guy do it, but more like just do it, dog.
Yeah. Well, one thing I got to do is come down to Key West. Man, I wasn't kidding about. I am planning a trip down to Key West a week or two, so I'm gonna look up a show and
In a week or two, honestly,
yeah,
dude, come down.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't care if it's a plexiglass, as long as I get a chance to see you perform, I'm good.
dude, we're gonna party.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Since we're wrapping up, is there anything you want to share with our listeners?
Um, that I love you all. Thank you for having me on here, and I hope you guys can check out my new record when it's ever available next year. And just follow me on everything: Instagram, Facebook, Joe Sambo Music on everything. And I appreciate your time.
And go down to the Keys and catch a show.
Come party in the Keys.
Awesome, awesome.
Everyone should.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, awesome. All right, well, appreciate this conversation. It's awesome and pleasure to talk to you. But Joe Sambo, thank you so much for joining us in Irie Chat, and best of luck on everything.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it.